The 2021 draft class for the Carolina Panthers proved to be a very impactful one for the franchise. From my recollection, all but one saw time, maybe even more. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of joys out on that. I did a lot of research. I couldn't find anything, so we'll see. But overall, pretty much everybody touched the field. They got a lot of return on investment. Some disappointing things, but overall, great draft class by the Carolina Panthers as we continue the grades for all NFL teams and their respective 2021 NFL draft classes. I think the Carolina Panthers, I think we've obviously come to the conclusion that they're a very talented team. I think they're one of the best put together rosters on the entire, on paper in the entire NFL. And I think, this particular draft really helped them, in a lot of different ways, especially for the future. Now let's take a look at our grades for their draft class. If you take a look, first round, number 8 overall, you get J.C. Horne Corner out of South Carolina. I love this pick. Now, J.C. Horne is in that 6'2", 6'3" range, 200 pounds, tall guy, plays well with his hands, flips his hips very well. And, I think he is going to be, from what I saw this year, he flipped his hips well and was a very good corner for him this year. 3 games, 3 starts, had a total of 5. That's supposed to be tackles, but that's so we'll roll with that. So had a total of 5 tackles, had a pick as well. Again, I think you're a little disappointed he wasn't able to stay healthy for the entire season. You only got a 3-game kind of a showcase here there, but I loved it. I absolutely loved everything I saw there. I think he's going to be a really good corner for him. Now, is he probably going to have to, learn stuff? Yeah, obviously, the development is such a big part of, not of just drafting a player. Obviously, it starts with drafting and developing. That's how you build a franchise. But overall, I gave this an A because I really felt like this was a solid pick for him, especially where they were lined up in the draft. And you know what? They needed some corner. I think corner was one of their biggest needs, if not their biggest need, coming into the draft. In the second round, the Carolina Panthers selected Terrace Marshall Jr., wide receiver at LSU. Originally, I loved this pick. I felt like Marshall was one of the more explosive wide receivers in the draft, and I felt like he was going to be have a bigger impact. But again, not everything goes according to plan. Some things just they fall through. But overall, I feel like he was a player that they had a lot of high hopes for. But he's still, I think, a very talented player. 6'2", about 200 pounds. I think he's going to be, when it's all said and done, I think he's going to be that wide receiver opposite day. Yeah, great SpongeBob reference. But overall, going to be that opposite receiver of DJ Moore for the future. And I think he's going to do a lot of great things. But just for this, what we saw, 17 catches, 138 yards. I think we'll give this grade a C+ overall for now. Obviously, this is only just very preliminary after his first year in the NFL. But overall, I expect some big things from Marshall moving forward. I think he's going to be a really good receiver for the Panthers. And obviously, they've got a lot of things to do in terms of quarterback, who they want to get and all that stuff. But having guys like Marshall and DJ Moore and all those boys, it's going to be awesome. In the third round, number 70 overall, the Carolina Panthers selected Brady Christensen, offensive tackle, BYU. Played in a total of 16 games, had 6 starts, 2 penalties, 4 sacks, and a 61.6 PFF grade. Gave this pick a B. I love Christensen. I think he's going to be a very good tackle for him moving forward, and I think he's going to be a really good player. I think a lot of it, what it comes down to, is these guys that step on the field, you really wonder what they're going to do. But whether it's he's behind Cam Irving or Taylor Moton, behind whoever, I think he can play left or right in the NFL. I think he's at least a very solid backup player. And who knows, maybe he's got the physical tools moving forward after they develop him a little bit more to play left or right long-term as a starter. But overall, I was pleased with what I saw here. Third round, you think a guy's going to contribute, and he did that. He absolutely got on the field, played very respectively, and I think that you can't ask for much more than Christensen, who's got, he's around that 6'8", 300, 330 range from what I had seen. So he's got what you want in terms of size. He's got everything that you hope. He comes, or 6'6", 300 pounds, excuse me. He's a big boy, and he's had a bigger impact on the field than I thought he would this year, because I felt like Moton and Irving were both going to take up a lion's share of the snaps, but obviously things happen. But I was really happy with how he played in his rookie year. Still in the third round, number 83 overall, the Carolina Panthers selected Tommy Tremble, tight end out of Notre Dame. I thought he was a really good player here. I probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more of an impact, but it is what it is at this point. I think moving forward, you really want to see him be a bigger part of the offense, and I think he will be moving forward. But overall, the most important position they have to figure out is quarterback right now, because I think if you got weapons like Tommy Tremble, Terrace Marshall, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, they got weapons. Once they get that quarterback situation nailed down, it's going to be a tough team, and Tommy Tremble's going to be a big part of it. But overall, finished the year 20 catches, 180 yards, and a touchdown. Again, would have liked to see him be a bigger part of the offense. You saw some flashes where you were like, wow, he could be a really good player. But overall, I gave this grade a C+. Expecting a little bit more out of him in year 2. In the 4th round, the Carolina Panthers selected Shuba Hubbard, running back out of Oklahoma State. Loved this pick. Nearly 800 scrimmage yards, had a total of 6 touchdowns. Whenever Christian McCaffrey was out, I had a big question as to how he was going to be able to take over and handle things. And he did. He absolutely did. I was in love with this pick. He's a guy that can also catch passes out of the backfield. I think he had 1 or 2 touchdown receptions as well on the year. I had over 600 rushing yards, like 612 I think it was. But overall, was a very good pick, especially in the 4th round. A guy stepped on the field, made an impact right away. Gave it a B+. I think he probably could give this a pick an A here, but overall, I love the pick, especially getting him this late. I felt, it's tough because the draft, it winds so differently. Like, it just unwinds so differently, and I'll touch on that in just a second with the next pick and Davion Nixon. But overall, I thought maybe Shuba, you could have got him in the 5th, but overall, I could see this giving this, it's a B+, A. It's just a solid pick all around. In the 5th round, number 158 overall, the Carolina Panthers selected Davion Nixon, defensive tackle out of Iowa, had a total of 9 tackles and 5 sacks. I think he was only played, I want to say, in the first 7 games of the season. Then he had, I believe, a knee injury. Listen, I know I gave this pick an A, but it's because of the potential here. You get a guy like Davion Nixon, who in my mind was one of the most promising defensive tackles coming out of Iowa I've seen in a long time. And plus, I think he was one of the best. At one time, I want to say he was like the number 1 defensive tackle on a lot of people's boards. People had him going in the 1st and 2nd round. So to get him here in the 5th round, that's a steal. That is such a steal. So overall, I gave this pick an A. Again, more on the rotational side of things, which is fine. Again, you see a guy that I think in the long term is going to be a really big, impactful player for the Panthers. You also got Derek Brown and Daquan Jones and their Bravion Roy as well. And there's a lot that you like about a guy like Nixon, though, and I think he's going to bring a lot for the Carolina Panthers moving forward. He's a really good player. Still in the 5th round, number 166 overall, the Carolina Panthers selected Keith Taylor Jr., corner out of Washington. When you get down into these 5th, 6th, 7th, and even 4th round guys, you just want guys that are either going to contribute a good amount or that you can develop. And usually, well, in my experience as a Vikings fan, you see guys here in the 4th rounds and later that they see the field a little bit, get their feet wet, and then they take off after that. But for a guy like Keith Taylor, he pretty much played a lot of snaps for the Panthers right away. 17 games, 3 starts, 38 total tackles, 3 passes defensed. Pass deflections, whatever. Also had a forced fumble and finished with a 58.0 PFF grade. Gave it a C+ here. Again, this is where you draft these players. I believe Keith Taylor's 6'3", too, so really another long defensive back for the Panthers here. You love it. You love the size. I think you love what you see in his rookie year, too. And at the very least, a very good depth piece for the Panthers here. But he's a good player. I think he's going to be a very good, really good corner for him to pair with J.C. Horne, these 2 corners in this draft class. I think it's going to be a really good, he's going to be a really good player for a long time for the Panthers. And you draft guys like this. Overall, this was an amazing draft, and we'll get more into that in a second. But overall, I really liked the Taylor pick here. Thought he did what you would expect him to do, actually more, and he played admirably. In the 6th round, number 202 overall, Carolina Panthers, they selected Deontay Brown, offensive lineman out of Alabama. Played in a total of 3 games, had 0 starts, had I think 30 total snaps and a 48.4 PFF grade. Listen, I get the fact that I watch this guy at the Senior Bowl a lot. He's got the size you want, 6'4", 350. This boy's big, and I think he's going to be a big starter for him moving forward. I think he's going to be a big-time player inside at guard, and I think overall you really like what you see. I gave it a B+, more for potential. A guy, if you can work with him a little bit, I think you could develop into a solid player and be a really good player for the Carolina Panthers moving forward. I think he was also another player that was placed on injured reserve. Again, I want to say knee, but it is what it is. It's tough when rookies go down with injuries, but overall, you love to see what Brown will bring to the Panthers, especially that interior offensive line. I think he's going to bring an absolute lot. In the 6th round still, yes, we're still talking about picks here. The Carolina Panthers selected Shi Smith, number 204 wide receiver out of South Carolina, pairing him with the former teammate J.C. Horne. Had a total of 6 catches, 104 yards. If I'm being honest, I probably thought he would have a little bit bigger of an impact, but I mean, you got guys like we've already said, like DJ Moore, also Tommy Tremble and Shuba Hubbard, contributed a lot. And I mean, it's tough when you have average to below average quarterback play and a guy like Sam Darnold. But if they can get that quarterback position figured out, I think you could see Shi Smith's numbers go up immensely. He had that big 63-yard catch late in the season against the Buccaneers, where you're like, okay, yeah. This man can play. He can play, absolutely. So I gave this grade a B. I'm excited to see how he develops moving forward. Potentially number 2, number 3 wide receiver for the Panthers. Yeah, absolutely love to see it. In the 6th round, number 222 overall, the Carolina Panthers selected Thomas Fletcher, long snapper out of Alabama. This one was a head scratcher for me because, listen, I believe he was like the best long snapper in the country the year before that. Like, I get it, but did you have to draft him in the 6th round? Like, I don't know. There was like a whole list I had seen for guys you could have gotten. I think I'm trying to think off the top of my head of all the players that you could have drafted, but there was like a list of players that the Panthers could have drafted instead of him here. But overall, I mean, it's tough. It really is tough. They shouldn't have drafted him, I don't think, at this spot. But overall, I think they had. They had a shot at like Trey Smith, I think it was, for the offensive lineman or the guard for Kansas City, who was like amazing this year. I think he had played over 1,100 snaps, had a 72.8 PFF grade, 9 penalties and 4 sacks allowed. So he was a very good player for them. But overall, it's tough. It's hard to evaluate when you get down here, down deep. You just see guys that have a lot of physical tools, and you just kind of wonder about the rest of it. But I thought maybe you could have assigned a long snapper pretty much off the street. Oh, I'm tired. Excuse me. Or you could have just wait. I think the 7th round, I think if you would have swapped picks here with Phil Hoskins and Fletcher here, I would have been okay with that as well. But overall, I gave it a C. He was on the injured reserve from what I had seen. Maybe he played throughout the year, but I couldn't find anything on it. But overall, I think, again, didn't love the pick, but it could have been worse. I mean, he could have been the Vikings and drafted like a quarterback in the 7th round that never panned out. Well, we're not gonna get into that. But overall, the Carolina Panthers rounded out their 2021 draft class in the 7th round with a selection of Phil Hoskins, number 232 overall, a defensive tackle out of Kentucky. Played in 3 games, had no starts, but had 4 tackles, a sack, and a 44.6 PFF grade. Also, I gave this a C+. Again, he's at like that 6'3", 6'5" range, 315. He's a big impact player. He's pretty quick on the inside too, and I think he's going to give a lot to the Panthers. He reminds me a lot of Shamar Stephen, the Vikings' former 7th round defensive tackle they drafted out of, I think it was Connecticut back in like 2014. A guy that, like, he's not going to wow you, but he gives you a lot of value. A guy that you can see as a full-time starter for a long time, and that's not anything like he's not Aaron Donald, but he is going to come in and just give you solid technique, have a great first step off the ball, and honestly take up double teams and just allow your linebackers to flow. And you love that. You absolutely love that, and I think Hoskins will absolutely bring that for the Carolina Panthers moving forward. And I think, like I said, these, once you get down in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round ranges, you start to see players that just more are of developmental guys, and that should be able to give you guys a lot of draft value later in their careers and after you can develop them a little bit. But that's our grades. Overall, this is an A grade for me, overall for the entire draft. I mean, obviously, J.C. Horne in the 1st round, I love that pick. Terrace Marshall Jr., expecting him a lot out of him in year 2. Brady Christensen, I think, is going to be a really good tackle. Tommy Tremble, I think you're going to expect a lot out of. They're going to need to target him a lot. He's a mismatch for a lot of what he brings. Shuba Hubbard, great number 2 back. I think he can maybe even be a starter and not miss a beat. Davion Nixon, big steal. big steal. Ugh, love it. Keith Taylor, and plus, all these other guys, I think you've got a really good draft class here going for the Carolina Panthers, and you're really excited about what they bring moving forward. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. In the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. We'd greatly appreciate it. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think of our grading of the Carolina Panthers 2021 draft class.